Welcome. All right, so this will just be let's see, improv session here. Let's see what to go over today. Let's see here. All right, so web development primer. Nope, just went over that. Semantic HTML. This one's kind of a long one. Let's just take a look at this one. Probably won't do this, but I think it's like 60 slides. Oh my God, 87 slides. Heck no. Heck no. All right. Let's see here. Semantic tags reference. Maybe a good little just reference, but yeah, 62 slides. Heck no. I just don't have much time today, so um, let's see here. Geez, things I go through. Let's see here. Yeah, I kind of went over all the presentations already, actually. So the only kind of useful ones left is semantic HTML and semantic tags. This one might take a while. I don't know if I can do this pretty quick. Let's try to do this. 87 slides, can I get through it in 30 minutes? We will see. I'm crying here. All right, so today we're going to go over semantic HTML, adding meaning to your content. Okay, I might bail mid of this, but we'll see how far I get. So first, let's meet some characters on our journey to learning this thing called semantic HTML. So if you're watching this, then maybe you're wondering, or you heard the term semantic HTML and you're wondering what it is, or you kind of know what it is and you're just trying to learn how to do it properly. I can only think those two scenarios of why you would be watching this. So today we'll have two characters on our journey here to understand semantic HTML. First character here, we're going to call the Presentation-Centric elf. Okay, so meet the Presentation-Centric elf. I need to focus here. So here, hi, my name is Presentation-Centric elf. I look at the page based on how it looks, and I design my HTML to achieve that look. So when this elf, he designs or codes his HTML, he's gonna do it in kind of a more of a visual perspective and choose his HTML based on what the design looks like. Okay. Next, here we have our content-centric guru, and he designs his HTML based on what the meaning of the content on the page is. Okay, so he focuses on the content, the data on the page, and he designs his HTML, or doesn't design, he codes his HTML, chooses his HTML tags based on the content, and he ignores the visual aspects of the design when he's writing the HTML. Okay, so in today's lesson, the elf has traveled to meet the guru because he heard about this mystic art called semantic HTML, and you might be in a similar position with the elf here. No offense. He doesn't know what everyone is talking about, but he hears this thing called semantic HTML is pretty important. Okay, so the journey begins. So here we go, 87 slides. Let's see how I can finish this. So, yep, here he is. He meets the guru, and the guru says, today I will show you the way of semantic HTML. Okay, so to begin that, he presents, I believe, he presents the elf with these 2 pages. Okay, these 2 HTML, not HTML, but these 2 web pages that he says, design page 1 for me. He just wants to test out the elf, see how he thinks before making any conclusions, before drawing any conclusions. Okay, so straight away the elf, the elf, the elf, the elf chooses these HTML tags here. Okay, with these class names. So as you can see, he chooses a div for everything. Again, you might have seen websites coded like this, or maybe you were one of the people that coded websites like this. Again, nothing against you. You know, everybody has a right to their way of doing things. It's just today we're going to learn the semantic way. Okay, so he chose a div for everything. Class name, he chose this to be top box, for example. Big font, because of course this has big font here for the header. He chose main block here to describe that this is the main block or main part of the web page. Here for a class name he chose navigation to describe that, yep, that's for the navigation. Here he chose sidebar, okay, for a sidebar on the page. And finally on the bottom here he chose a class of bottom box to describe that he wants to position this div on the bottom, as well as small font because let's say in the bottom here, for the footer, he wants small font. So he's going to make a class called small font, which is pretty straightforward and descriptive of what he's trying to do visually. So then, what does Content-Centric Guru think? Sorry, get his name right there. Okay, so he's meditating here. And he says, it seems like you have not learned, 1, HTML5. Okay, and 2, also, he tells the elf, learn what semantics means. And comes back to me when you have researched what does semantics mean. Okay, so I'll give you a second too. What does semantics mean? Okay, I'm on slide what now? All right, so the elf comes back and he says, semantics means the study of meaning in language and content. Okay, so note there, you probably looked it up in the dictionary, but yeah, means the study of meaning. Okay, meaning in particularly here, content. Okay, so the guru, you know, he agrees. Good. All right, so then here the guru starts to give the elf a little bit of a, you know, a whooping here, maybe some slaps on the wrist here. He says to the elf, does the div tell you the meaning of what is inside? Okay, the content, let's say up here, or any of these boxes, does div tell you anything about the meaning of the content? Does top box, so he chose this class name top box, does top box tell you anything about the meaning, the semantics of the content? Okay, he asks another rhetorical, perhaps rhetorical question. Focus, focus. Okay, big font. Does the class big font tell you the meaning of what is inside that div that you're wrapping and putting that big font class on? Okay, and let's see, what does the elf say? The elf says here, yes, div class top box big font has meaning. Okay, so he's saying that his code has meaning, and he says that it tells me that what is inside the box at the top. It tells me that that box is at the top of the page, and it has big font inside. Okay, so that's what the elf perceives as meaning, semantics. So, of course, the guru here says, ha ha ha, grasshopper, you are mistaken. Div class top box big font tells you how the content looks. Okay, where it is on the page, how big is it, how does it look? It tells you how it looks, but it doesn't tell you what the content actually means. Okay, so notice the two minute differences there. The difference between describing how something looks versus describing what something means, like content-wise, language-wise. Okay, so that's what the guru is saying here. And you says, you still have a lot to learn, my grasshopper. I have another test for you. All right, lesson number 1. Okay, so he's going to test him with something else, but he's first saying that lesson number 1 here, semantic HTML is using HTML tags, class names, and IDs to add meaning to your content. Semantic HTML is not using HTML tags, class names, and IDs to describe how your content looks visually. Okay, so note those two differences. What is semantic HTML versus what is not semantic HTML? All right, so not first of all, but okay, so the guru here, he summons, okay, so all of a sudden magically, he summons semantic HTML, and poof, magically this page has the proper, I wouldn't say proper, but let's say it will have the semantic tags now selected versus before, let's say we had non-semantic tags. Again, nothing wrong with it. It's just a matter of subject here. We're going to choose to code things semantically now. So in magical poof, he chooses the semantic HTML tags that are provided by HTML5 particularly. Okay, so here, this top portion, we're now going to choose a header tag. Okay, and header means, yeah, this is a header, of course, self-explanatory, of the page, of this section of the page. Mentally breaking down here. Okay, so the header, it says that the meaning of this content is the header of the page. Pretty obvious. Okay, the main tag says that this is the main content of the page. Okay, the nav tag, so the elf wasn't too bad when he chose the class name navigation, let's say. But the nav tag says that this piece of content right here is the navigation, part of the page. The purpose, the meaning of it is navigation. This part of the page is an aside. Okay, so aside, again, is provided by HTML5, kind of a quote-unquote new tag in HTML5 that says that this content is, let's say, secondary content related to, let's say, the main content in some way or fashion. And lastly, down here, we have a footer tag to describe that the meaning down here is the, let's say, footer content, like, let's say, copyright or any other auxiliary information, contact information. So yeah, so these, the guru has chosen as the semantic HTML tags. Sorry about that. All right, same thing for the other page. So he's just going to jump straight to conclusions because he doesn't want the elf to be making non-semantic code anymore. So similarly for this other page, here's the header, the nav, the main, the footer. This page actually doesn't have an aside, but what you will see is that for most websites, let's say at the high level, so this is the higher level here, every website's going to pretty much be structured this way. It's going to have a header where you have your branding. It will have a navigation. Okay, it will have a main section for the main content, and it will have a footer. And sometimes it will have an aside, a little sidebar with some side related content. Okay, so again, these tags describe the meaning of the content, and don't mistake it, these tags are not giving any information of where or what that content looks like. You may think that, let's say, header, you may think, oh no, that describes the top, but to be honest, you could put header, let's say, I don't know, on the bottom. That wouldn't really be a common design pattern. But here, header is just describing that this is the heading of this website. The meaning is this is the heading, the title of the website. Okay? Hopefully you have that minute difference there. So, okay, so now the guru is gonna get a little bit more simple. He's gonna say, okay, just design this small portion for me. Okay, design this header for me. So he broke it up. He broke it up nicely for the elf, and he just says, okay, now design this header portion, and he wants to again test how the elf thinks. Okay, the non-semantic elf, we can say, or the visual centric. He just thinks very visually. Okay. All right. So now the elf. This is how he coded it. He put a div outer wrapper. Okay. Here. All right. And then inside of that, he did a div with a class inner wrapper. And then finally, he chose some p tags for let's say the name here and the subtitle here. Okay, and let's see here. He says, I add this div so I can group the text align left and margin left together. Okay, so he made this inner wrapper so it helps him position this piece of content the way let's say the graphic design is, the way he wants it visually. All right, and what you will see if you work in the industry or even, let's say, small projects, you will see code very similar to this. If I am not mistaken, I've seen it myself. Working at companies, outer wrapper, inner wrapper, you'll see those kinds of codes that they create these wrappers to help them position things within other things. So anyway, so the elf, he has that mindset and he codes that way. So let's see what the guru thinks here. Oh, a little bit of Wing Chun here. Okay, so here he's gonna come out with lesson number 2. All right, lesson number 2, the art of semantic HTML. Close your eyes. All right, quiet your mind, and don't let the colors and the beauty of the design distract you. Okay, so a little kung fu lesson here. He's saying, just let your mind settle, and don't let the colors of the world distract you, and focus your attention only on the meaning of the content. Okay, choose your tags wisely to express the meaning of the content and be efficient. Again, Wing Chun, let's say Wing Chun, you want to be efficient with your strikes. Same thing with your HTML. Be efficient, no wasted movements, no wasted HTML tags. Okay, so that's lesson number 2 here he's giving to this elf, and this elf looks a little confused over here with some question marks. He's like, what the? Like, what? He's like, really? Okay, so what does the guru think about this code? All right, so here's his critique, his little whooping critique here. So he's lashing. He's giving him a lashing now. So does div outer wrapper tell you anything about the content? Okay, does div inner wrapper tell you the meaning of the content inside of it? Do you really need, okay, as well as do you really need that extra inner wrapper tag? All right, and lastly, Alex Sexton, the name of the person on this page, is the main content of the website. Okay, no, he says this is the main content of the website. Okay, so let's say this website is about this person. Okay, this is the main topic of the website, and you will disrespect him with a p tag. Okay, you just, if you're looking at hierarchies here, if you live in, let's say, Asian cultures or whatever, and you're looking at hierarchies here, you just disrespected Alan Sexton, who is the main topic of this page, with the p tag. You just disrespected him. Okay, so that was, let's say, that was the guru's lashing here. All right, and again, the guru summons HTML, semantic HTML. So poof, it magically appears semantic HTML according to the guru's, let's say, strong opinions, but I would say right opinions. Okay, so here he chooses, again, header tag for the outer, let's say, I don't want to say wrapper because that gets visual here, for the outer part here. Okay, H1, oh, he chooses the H1 tag for the name of the person of this page, the main title of this page. He chooses the H1 tag. And finally, he chooses, let's say, for the subtitle here, a P tag. And as you can see, he's very efficient here. He's not adding anything extra here. He's very efficient with his strikes. And every tag has meaning, okay? Describes the meaning of the content. So this slide is saying the semantics. All right, so this is how it actually looks in code. If you write it up, you have header, then H1, Alan Sexton, P here for the web hacking JavaScript for the subtitle. So, like I said, he says, you see, I did not waste any movements. I was very efficient, and I chose only what I needed to express the meaning of that content. Okay, being efficient again. And the main heading of this website is, okay, so again, this is just a description of the HTML itself. So the main heading, of course, is Alan Sexton, and additionally, information about Alan Sexton is web hacking. Right. So the subtitle here is just additional information, so we just put it in a P tag. Maybe I just repeated myself there, but okay. So then, all right. So the elf now, and maybe a lot of people would come back with this as well. Again, nothing wrong with it, but the elf comes back. He's like, old dude, get out of my way. He's like, blah blah blah. You see, he's like, yeah. He's like, you don't have an inner tag here. Remember, he chose an inner wrapper tag, the elf himself. So here he's saying that you don't have an inner wrapper tag, so you will waste movements now because you will have to define margin left twice now. Okay, instead of just once, if you had the inner wrapper. Okay, so the elf is being a little bit of a smart aleck. Usually, with teachers and students, you have those smart aleck students that, try to challenge their teachers, and nothing wrong with that. But so here he's saying that, yeah, margin left, you got to do it twice because you don't have an efficient one inner wrapper where you can just do one margin left and move everything to the left. Okay, or to the right. So again, basically he said you didn't plan ahead, meaning when the guru chose his HTML, again, the guru recommended that you focus only on the content and not on the visuals. But here the elf is saying that, oh, you didn't focus ahead and think about the style, so now later you're going to have to be inefficient when writing your CSS. Totally against what the guru was recommending. Okay, so here's lesson number 3. All right, the guru kind of with his kung fu knocked over the Wing Chun dummy, and he's giving lesson number 3 here. That may be true, grasshopper. Okay, what the grasshopper just said here is that you're wasting movements in CSS instead now. Okay, so the guru is saying that may be true, but if you focus only on the present, again, focus on the present moment, be in the present. That's what they're saying nowadays. It's a cliche, but be in the present moment. Okay, so focus only on the present moment and don't think ahead. And if you trust the powers of good semantics, everything else will come naturally. Okay, so that's a deep lesson right there, in that if you just focus on the content and semantic HTML and not worry about the future, which is the visual design, if you just focus on doing that very good, describing the content very good, everything else later is going to come naturally. You don't even have to think about it. Okay? That's what he's saying here. He's saying just trust it. Just trust the moment. And he's proving that statement by showing here that, once you have your HTML, or let's say semantic HTML, you can always find a creative way in CSS to do something efficiently. But creative here in that it is also, I would say, technically correct as well. So for example, here, he doesn't have to do margin left twice. He just chooses a padding left once on the header. Okay, and again, it's a matter of opinion. If someone wants to use margin or padding or whatnot, but usually you use padding, let's say, to pad a box, all right, to pad a container. And here, yeah, he naturally was able to find a way to style it the way he wanted without even thinking ahead of time. Okay, and CSS is so powerful. Not like I said, I haven't said that before in this presentation. But CSS is so powerful that usually you'll be able to find a technically sound way to do whatever you want given, let's say, limited HTML or a certain HTML, as long as that HTML is not, total spaghetti or something, and it's nice and clean. You'll find a way to style something the way you want in CSS, and do it, not like in a hacking way, but in a technically sound way. Okay, so that being said, the guru recommends, again, when you're doing HTML, just focus on the meaning of the content and not on the visuals of the content. And later, naturally, you'll find a way in CSS. Just trust it. Okay, so here he shows an example of that. So moving on, I have 2 minutes. I'm on slide 28. So this one takes a while. Maybe I'll break this into like a several part presentation because I'm only a third of the way through and I have to get back to another thing in 1 minute, but maybe I'll go over a little bit. All right. So let's move on and look at the header of the W3 schools. So can you guess? So now that he enlightened the elf a little bit, he's trying to he's just gonna skip the elf altogether. Here he's gonna summon semantic HTML again, just to show an example of how to code another header. Okay, just to show a comparison on another website. So again, here you choose a header for the outer tag. You choose the H1 for the brand or the main title of the page, which is w3schools.com. And then he chooses a P tag here for, again, the subtitle of the page, some less important text. Again, semantics are pretty much the same. H1, of course, is the main title of the page. Again, the H1 tag semantically describes that, hey, this piece of content right here is the main title of this page. And this P tag says that, okay, this text is just, let's say, regular text on the page. It's not an important title, but it is content on the page, and that's what a P tag is for. Okay, so, all right, again, the student comes back being a little bit smart, trying to challenge his teacher here. He says again, okay, well, here I will definitely need a div tag to separate my left and right column. So he's looking at it from a visual perspective again, and he's saying that, yeah, definitely I need a left column wrapper and a right column wrapper so I can separate this design into 2 columns. So let's see what the elf recommends here. Okay, so the elf recommends that he wraps that H1 in a div for left column and wraps that P in another div for a right column. Okay, again, to separate this out into a 2-column design. So let's see what the guru thinks. A lot of back and forth here. Okay, he says, do the new divs add any meaning to the content? Again, the guru, he just focuses on the meaning. Okay, he is a true fundamentalist. He just focuses on the meaning. Okay, and he's telling the elf that you added these to help you to style the page, okay, to lay out the page, but it doesn't add any meaning to the content itself. It doesn't describe the content in any more meaning. And this, he says, okay, so the guru is saying that this is not good practice. If you continue down this road, your HTML will be littered with unnecessary tags, and you will see this in actual code, okay, and let's say in real life, is that HTML coders, or let's say a large group, or let's say people in the workforce, okay, again, I'm not saying that it's good or bad, it's just people do things differently. And here, again, this topic, the conversation today is semantic HTML, writing code, HTML code cleanly, focusing on the semantics. And there are people out there that will, add on tags, add on divs so that they can, position their elements the way they want, or they feel like they need it to position their elements the way they want, and they'll add all these, wrapper, let's say, div tags. Okay, so again, the guru is saying, quiet your mind. Again, breathe, quiet your mind. And don't let again, don't let looks deceive you. Okay, trust your semantics and things will come naturally, is what the guru is saying. Okay, so here the guru, with his original semantic HTML, says he summons CSS, okay, with his original semantic HTML. And as you can see, without thinking ahead, he already naturally has a wrapper for the left and the right column, which is just the H1 tag and the P tag. He doesn't need an extra div tag on the outside. Okay, this extra div tag was quite unnecessary. And sometimes people do that. They just litter on wrappers, wrappers upon wrappers upon wrappers to, give them extra handles to position things. And here, pretty much, again, with the thought of being efficient, focusing on the content only, later we'll have all the containers we need to do whatever we need. Naturally, again, naturally without thinking ahead. And here we use the H1 tag and the P tag itself, and float the H1 to the left and float the P1 to the right and give them 50% with each. Okay, so lesson number 4 here with semantic HTML, I will naturally have all the containers I need for styling. Okay, so as you can see, what I just said, without focusing ahead of time, he has all the containers, all the wrappers he needs to, size things and position things where he wants it. Okay, so yeah, we will end there today for, let's say, part 1 of this long presentation, 87 slides, 34. I think next time I can get through the rest of them. But point said is that today we introduced what semantic HTML is, and we saw it from 2 people's perspectives, as you saw. One we called the Presentation-Centric elf, who focuses a lot on the visual design of the page and codes his HTML, chooses his HTML tags with the visual design in mind. And then on the other spectrum, we have our guru, semantic HTML guru, who focuses only on the content and the meaning of the content when he codes his HTML. Okay, so meditate on those 2 differences a little bit until next time, and we will continue this discussion on semantic HTML.